I know, Joyce is going to make fun of me. All right, so thank you everybody for joining us over the last couple days and to being here today, whether you're joining us live or you'll be listening to the replay. Thank you. And as a reminder, if you haven't already, I do suggest that you go back and watch the previous videos. We gave lots of information and so many people already had ahas and were inspired to get stuff done after the call. So today we will be sharing 3 things with you. What is energy and why it's important to understand it? What happens when you are in alignment in your personal power and your space? And what you can do going forward to get energetically aligned to your soul and what you want to attract. We are all energy. Everything is energy. Our bodies, the plants, the foods we consume, our thoughts, money, everything is energy. And energy can be transformed and transmuted, which means we have the ability to influence and shift our own energy. Stuff we thought we had to live with. We really can shift it. First, we have to be aware of what kind of energy you are carrying. How do you feel most days? It's like taking a pain inventory or an energy inventory. I had a client who said every morning she would take a pain inventory and see what hurt that day. Of course, after she worked with me, she realized that nothing was hurting. Yay! That's always fun to hear. So for yourself, ask yourself, are you tired or depressed most days? Or are you energetic most days? Remember, this is just awareness and where you are now and deciding where you want to be going forward. If you're tired most days, why is that? What's the emotion you are carrying every day? And do you know that your thoughts and emotions can be making you tired? For example, I mentioned that I felt fear in my body daily when I was young. That kept me depressed and stuck, even though back then I never saw myself as depressed. If anyone asked, I would automatically say, I'm good, and put that smile on my face. I thought everyone felt that way. It wasn't until I experienced an ancestral clearing that I realized that fear was not mine. I had inherited it. What energy are you carrying for others? Do you even know you are carrying it for others? What is that energy keeping you from doing that you really want to do? And what's the cost of carrying up other people's energy? What's it costing you in your own happiness, in living your life on your terms? One of the things I discovered when I was carrying other people's energy was that I was not in alignment with myself. So I really wasn't living my own life. So as I'm talking, does anybody want to share what's been coming up about the energy that you may be carrying or how you're feeling?
The only thing that I can bring up about the energy and how I'm feeling is that I just went through a period of 3 or 4 days, actually a week, of being, I don't know what I was, out of alignment, absolutely for sure. And it's like, it's depressing. I had no energy. I hurt. I had pains where I thought they were gone forever. And then after a conversation with you and got to get that, reviolation going up again, I'm a totally different person 3 days later. Much, much different. So what you're saying is absolutely keep going.
Awesome. Yeah, and it's not to say that we'll never have pain, right?
Right.
That's all part of living. But you're more in tune to, do you want to keep it? What's underneath it? and then shifting the energy, which I think Kathy mentioned it the other day, that she didn't know that it's possible to shift into being and feeling a different way. So great job, Joyce. That's awesome.
Right, thank you.
Yeah. So just like Joyce had mentioned, by clearing the energy of what I was carrying for others, my life changed. I let go of their energy and moved into loving them more and having compassion for them on a much deeper level. I feel more comfortable finally being me. I felt like I was finally being heard and seen for the first time. I went from feeling and being invisible to feeling present. I went from feeling fear to feeling confident. And being able to do things like this, but there was still something missing. I'd spent years of doing this deep personal development work, and I was still feeling like I wasn't being seen and heard in my business and making the impact that I really wanted to make. And everything changed when I met Pat. I was looking for a Feng Shui person, and she showed up in my life. Of course, she said she does Feng Shui, but don't tell anyone. Little did she know I would be telling the world about Pat and doing Feng Shui. I had no idea my own personal energy was being depleted by my personal and professional space. After working with Pat and her helping me to align with my own space, something inside of me shifted and opportunities started to show up. I always thought I was a good manifester, but now things are manifesting even faster, and I was ready for it. For example, I had planned to write a book at some point. You know, you have a goal. It was just one of those things that I said, yeah, in the future, I'll write a book. And sure enough, one day, soon after working with Pat, someone on Facebook asked, who wants to be in a book? What? So that's done. Now on to the next. And that's what happens when we align our energy with our physical space. And that's also why we are here talking to you. I was ready for it and the opportunity showed up. This is what it's like to be in alignment, to be energetically aligned to our own energy and our soul and the energy of our personal space. Life becomes so much more fun and easy. My life today is freaking amazing. I smile so much more, and I'm so grateful for my life and everyone in it. Even during times of stress and pandemics, I still feel amazing. Life will always bring us stress and challenges, and that's how we grow. And having this new awareness and being in alignment helps me see more than the bad stuff. Any questions? Anything coming up for people? If not, then Pat, I bring it over to you.
Okay, well, I have my version of that story, which I can laugh at now.
Yes.
So I've been doing Feng Shui for 20 years, but I kind of was letting it slide because I wasn't very good at the business part of it. So when I came over to the bridge, they had a Christmas party in December, and I really didn't want to go because I had issues with my car, and it was getting cold and dark, and it's like, well, I don't really want to go out. But someone encouraged me, so I went, and I'm at the Christmas party that I don't want to be at, and I planned to sit with my friends and not really talk to anyone. That was my way of enjoying the party. I've been through so many business situations that didn't go anywhere, so I wasn't really interested in meeting new people that I wasn't going to go anywhere with. So I decided I'm just going to have fun with my friends. So it was cold. It was December. I had to borrow my husband's car because my car finally died at 258,000 miles. And I know it sounds nuts, but I felt like I was grieving my car. I loved my car. I had it for 16 years. And now I was in a position that where I had to go through that whole process of figuring out cars, which I don't know anything about. But I do know that there are certain seats I can't sit in because they give me a backache. And I just knew that it was going to be a long, drawn out thing. And I wasn't ready to do that right before Christmas. And so I knew that my car was going because, you know, every time some new sound came, it was $700. And every time it rained, and we had a lot more rain this year than snow, there was a puddle of water soaking the driver's side, the floor on the driver's side. So I didn't realize how much stuff and worry and concern I had was carrying around with my car, because I just figured, well, you know, you get used to anything, right? So from a business standpoint, I was really stuck. So I'm at this party and I'm sitting near my friends, and Jackie comes over and says to me, "You're the feng shui person, right?" And because I was helping the people in the building transform the entryway, which really needed a lot of help. And I got talking to the woman that was managing it, and we started discussing things. And before I know it, she's actually making the changes that I made suggestions about. And she had her own ideas, but she was, you know, like I tell people, design gives you the how, but feng shui gives you the why. So I asked her what was she interested in doing, and she told me, and then so I made some suggestions, and all of a sudden things were changing. So I guess, I don't know if that's where Jackie found out who I was or whatever, but because I hadn't really put my face or my name out there, and I certainly was avoiding social media every way that I could. So when she said, "Are you the feng shui person?" my first physical reaction was I wanted to climb under the table, but I didn't. So I said, "Yeah, but I don't tell anybody." I basically said I was letting that go, but the conversation continued because Jackie's persistent. And I asked her what she did, and she said, "Well, I help people transform their pain." To which I replied, "Well, I don't really have any pain except for my lower back, and that's always there. So, you know, you get used to it." And now I look back at that statement, and she must have been laughing at the time, but I'm the one that can laugh at it now. So she asked me if I would take a quick look at her office, and I thought, great, I don't have to sit at this party, and did that. And as we started talking about her space, she asked me if we could set up an appointment so that we can discuss our work together. And I was also getting the feeling that she really understood what I was saying. She got the energy part of it. So soon after I worked on her office, I went to her home and I helped her with her home. I could see what needed to be done in her space based on what she told me she wanted to change in her life. And she saw what I needed to clear in my thoughts and my beliefs based on what I told her I wanted. So working together immediately felt easy because we both focused on energy, even though we are trained in different disciplines. As I worked with her, I came to realize that I was carrying energy for others that I didn't even know it. I didn't even know that I was carrying energy for them. I didn't even understand that. And which surprises me because I totally understand energy. I thought I did anyway. As she had me go through some exercises with her, all of a sudden my sinuses were draining and my back pain was slipping away. And like I've said to other people, sometimes you don't notice the pain that you're carrying because you don't notice when it goes away. Sometimes you notice it when it gets in your way, but you don't notice it when it goes away because that's, now that I know, that is the normal sense of well-being that we're all supposed to be living with. So it feels okay when there's no pain, but when the pain is there and distracts us from bending over or kneeling down or checking the bottom shelf of the refrigerator, we know stuff like that. So as I walked to the parking lot after our meeting, I noticed that I was walking differently. And it just really kind of got my attention and thought, could it possibly be from just talking, which is what we were doing, which what I thought what was we were doing, but I know now we were clearing energy. I was clearing my own energy that had to do with my thoughts and beliefs. And I think that was the point at which I understood something that I had never understood before. I understood the thinking part. I didn't understand the energy of the thoughts and the impact of the energy of the thoughts that I was carrying around that were physically coming out in the pain sensation. So when I realized this, it was really exciting for me. And I signed up with one of Jackie's programs, and the more energy I released, the more things began to change for me. Jackie and I have had so many interesting and fun conversations around energy and how it affects us every single day. And we're both fascinated with that. So much shifted for me. I'm beginning to understand business. Clients are showing up steadily. I'm on social media. My back pain has moved from like a 10 plus to about a 3. I just actually can define what I want. First time in my life to define what I want. I remember people asked me when I was a child, what do you want for Christmas? And I would say, I don't know. That was pretty much, I was kind of discouraged looking back to really want anything. And now I can say what I want. I'm helping more people. Money is starting to flow in. And I just bought the car of my dreams. I'm pretty happy. I'm loving it all. To top it all off, I'm becoming visible. And that used to be a no-no for me. I was behind the scenes for 40 years, and now I'm out front. I'm really good behind the scenes. I'm really good about supporting others. I'm really good to understand what people need and help them get there. But in terms of me being out front, that was definitely something I was resisting for a very long time. I knew I had a lot to say, but I was terrified about being out front. I was comfortable being hidden, but I wasn't happy. I was comfortable, but I wasn't happy. Meeting Jackie was the missing piece. Over the last 20 years, I've learned a lot and become really good at some stuff, but all that knowledge and expertise was sitting on the shelf, and Jackie's work is helping me get my message out, which I feel really good about. So here's what I believe. I believe we all have good reasons to hide, but that's not why we're here. We've all experienced enough that we don't want to experience again. But we have to be careful not to shut out all possibilities. We are here to share the wisdom and the joy we got from all of our observations. We are here to align with our whole self, which includes our spirit, our bodies, our minds, and our space. And we are here to expand our soul through the human experience. And this is at any age. When we do that, we feel really alive, we feel present and grateful for it all. And that's what I'm experiencing right now. So that's my story.
I love it. And you know what I love best is that as you were talking, oh my God, all the beliefs and programming and thoughts that we think all the time, right? Well, I'm old, so I have to be in pain. Or I'm old, so of course I'm not going to be working, or why bother, right? But God, that is so miserable. And you're showing me and everybody that, and even Joyce, I mean, and Diane, I'm just getting to know you, but age is just a number, and we don't have to get old and feel old the older we get. We can still have fun and do everything we've always wanted and make an even better life for ourselves the older we get. So,
well, I think the issue is because now that I'm here, the system keeps telling you that that's how it is. Every time you talk to a doctor, the answer is, for any question you have is, well, as we age, right? That's all they say. And that's not how I feel.
I know.
So how can I find a doctor that insurance pays for that's not going to tell me, you know, just suck it up, you're old. I don't want that. I don't want another pill. I don't want a pill that they claim is going to relieve the symptoms, but they always end up causing some other symptoms.
And then you need another pill for that. So yeah, that's a long rabbit hole of conversation. But when we address the energy that, so many people, I think energy workers kind of get a bad rap, because we know that if we look at the energy and shift the energy, then yes, you can get out of pain, but it's something that we don't see. So how can people start trusting it, right? But the more you experience it, and I've been doing this work for a while, and now to add on the Feng Shui, just, oh my God, this is my passion. When everything comes together and lines up, there's no struggle. It's easier. We don't have to sit in that downward spiral. Things show up so much easier, and yeah, it's awesome. So.
Well, I think, for me, I think that it was because I had been trained to help other people that I was really good at that. I used to get this thing as a kid. You should know what I want before I even ask you. So I'm good at that because I learned how to do that. But I didn't know what I wanted, right? So the more energy I work, the clearer my head gets about what I'm doing. What am I doing here? What do I want to do here? That gets to be fun. I love the car I bought, even though it's a used car. I'm really happy with it.
And that's another good point, because I think so many women, we've been taught not to. Nobody's really asked us, well, what do you like? What do you enjoy? Was it you, or was it somebody else who would say, you really don't want that?
It was me.
You?
Yes, and what I heard as a child was the parent who's telling me this, what I heard was, we can't really afford that if you say yes. So you don't really want it. The one that comes to mind is, you don't really want to take tap dancing lessons, do you? And I remember thinking, yeah, I do. But I couldn't say yes. I couldn't bring it up within me to say, yeah, I want that, because I understood how much stress my parents were under.
And you as a child didn't want to do that because you were feeling that stress.
Yeah.
And you became a people pleaser in your family, doing. And this is a common story for so many women. I know that was me. Anybody else probably knows. We probably know many women who do for others, but they give up on themselves. I was just at a wig where a person gave and gave and gave and never felt worthy to ask for help, right? That's not living. That's doing for other people. And we suppress all of our emotions in our body, which can come out as fibromyalgia, as autoimmune conditions in the body. So healing all of this and moving that energy, once we know where it comes from and shifts it, then we can finally create the life that we love and do what we want. So
I see there's two things here. One is that we don't have the vocabulary to say what we want. And number two is we don't feel it's okay to want. Those are two big things, and they sound so simple, but they're huge.
Yeah. Because it's all about receiving. And if we are not good receivers, then you can't receive money. You can't receive love. You can't receive compliments. What would you say?
Compliments.
And even receive the right doctor who's going to help you in the right way. So there's so many things. It's across the board in all areas of your life. What you're not receiving, you're actually pushing things away energetically.
Absolutely.
That belief. Yeah. Very good point. Any other questions? Joyce, Diane, how are you doing?
I'm agreeing with you guys.
I'm taking crazy notes, and it's not just what you're suggesting, but it's triggering thoughts that I have too. So if I can formulate questions from what I'm jotting down, I'll pose the questions.
Well, I think that's a really good point, Diane, because you can only give us, this is why it's so hard to get information from books. It's general information. But when you tell specific stories, we're certainly hoping that the people listening to our stories are thinking about their own and placing their own experience within the blank spaces of, well, what did you experience when you were a kid? Or Where are you not able to receive or say what you want, or just accept lack, you know?
Right.
Especially if you're raised by people that have been through depression, they had a certain mentality that the rest of us who were the next generation just absorbed. We just accepted that, oh, you're not supposed to want because you're just lucky to have a roof over your, this is what we used to get. You're lucky to have a roof over your head and food to eat,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
And stop whining or I'll give you something to whine about. Right. I mean, there's so many, right?
Yeah.
But what did we do to our kids, right? What was passed down to us that is still causing lack, is causing illness and sickness on a deeper level, because like we've mentioned in the other two videos, if we're energy and we were inside, came from our mothers, well, she came from her mother. So we came from our grandmother, right? And we heard everything that our grandmother and our great grandmothers were saying is in us. So all of that, we've heard it over and over again. You shouldn't have that. You shouldn't buy that. You shouldn't need that. Oh, you don't want that. Or, you know, don't be too loud. You know, you shouldn't do it that way. Or why do you want to go to college? That's for boys. Or whatever those beliefs were, it's energetically in us. And we're exhausted and tired because we're carrying all of that. So when you understand it, then you can clear it and shift so much faster. I mean, when this pandemic hit, it's not to say that we're always going to be in la la land, right? We're going to be Pollyanna and see the world like love and light, and not really get deep into the what's underneath.
Why not? Sorry, go ahead.
You could absolutely believe in that, right? And live that life. That for me wasn't working. Trying to believe that everything's great, it just wasn't enough for me. I wanted more. I love getting into the deepness and the richness of life and having these deep connections, having deep conversations with people. And so it's not to say that we'll never feel stress or challenges, but I don't want to stay there anymore. I so much more like a life where I have energy and I'm creating and meeting interesting people and doing fun things and helping my children. I think for me, the most important thing was not passing any more of this down to my children. And when I realized that that's what I could shift, when I could clear this energy, it just opened up my heart to want to make sure that I was doing enough to make it easier for them. So.
And that can happen even though they're adults. Because I remember doing something with you, and my adult son had an experience a couple of thousand miles away, because it's the energy of it.
Yeah.
So my question then at this point would be to recognize if you have, not if, I guess, it's what ancestral, I don't know if the word's burden, carrying ancestral energies around that that you don't need to, is the only way to recognize that. What we were shown yesterday with meditation and just trying to ground ourselves, and then is there a step before that where Pat's suggestion, clutter, are you suggesting maybe that the clutter, physical clutter in your life is blocking the observation or recognition of that extra baggage you're carrying inside? Or is this all too philosophical?
No, this is a great question. I love these questions. The clutter it's very complex issues and it's individual issues for people, but lots of times it is protecting yourself. and it can be used to suppress emotions. I'm not sure that I would have been able to get clear on my own ancestral stuff without going through the exercise that Jackie had me go through. I don't think I could have done it on my own because it was such a new idea for me that I really needed someone to explain what was happening after I went through it, and then talk to her afterwards. I could feel the results of going through the exercise, but then she helped explain what just happened. In terms of the physical clutter, I can only tell you that the people that I know that have started to declutter feel it, and that includes my husband, because we had walls that were filled with artwork, and I didn't realize it was making me feel a little claustrophobic because the things on the walls didn't really have much space in between each other. So, I mean, even when I go to a museum now, I see that if I'm going to a presentation of a particular artist, there's usually so many pieces, I can't really appreciate one piece.
Mhm.
So
Good
when
point.
there's a lot of stuff on the wall or in a space, and people have lots of collections. I remember going to a house where one living room wall was filled with shelves, and on each shelf, each little cubby hole, was a beautiful piece of hand-blown glass. It was a beautiful collection, but because there were so many, you couldn't appreciate one. It's a very interesting thing what the effects of clutter are. So to answer the question, I would have to know the person before I could explain what the clutter was serving for them, how the clutter was serving. In some cases, what I've heard is that people who don't have their own space in their own house kind of try to create the space by bringing stuff in. Does that
Mhm.
make any sense?
Yeah, possibility.
So that's one way. Another way is that people don't really want to feel their feelings, so they're distracting themselves by having objects that they can appreciate. But they forget when they're out buying or looking or shopping that they already have a lot at home and they can't physically fit that thing at home, and they don't bother to take something out, they just add. And so what is it doing at that point if you can't really appreciate it? Something that you buy, for instance, if you're just buying it, I don't think that the enjoyment or the energy of it lasts as long as it does if it was something that you made or something that was given to you in a situation that really feels good even when you look at it now. So there's all different explanations of what clutter is doing. That's why, it's frustrating for me not be able to give you an answer to that. But what I tell everybody is the basic answer to every feng shui question is, it depends. It depends on the space, it depends on the person, it depends on the story of the object, it depends on the location of the home, it depends on everything. So I'm sorry to not be able to give you a clear answer, but the most powerful feng shui changes are the ones that are personal.
Well, I
Yeah.
guess I had the previous belief before meeting you, Pat, that feng shui really was a physical environment type of strategy to improve your life, or I guess that says what I'm really thinking. And so now I'm realizing there's a little bit, more on the personal inner being that is either reflected or, like you said, improved or not improved. It enhances or enables you to have a connection with your environment somehow.
Well, I think part of the problem is that it's from the Chinese language, and there are certain words that don't translate, like the word qi.
Okay. Yeah.
And
okay.
so it's very difficult to talk to an American about qi.
Yeah.
And she being the life force of everything, we
Okay.
don't really have a way. Maybe we can say, oh, it's the spirit of that table. Well, you know, if you start talking like that in someone's house, they just think, are you making this stuff up, right? So it's been hard to communicate to people who don't have that basic understanding of the life force energy. And
I think I had a small experience a good 8 to 10 years ago, really quick. I was helping my sister-in-law set up her new house, or I'm sorry, her husband passed away, so we were down there rearranging the house, getting rid of his things. And one of the main rooms that she had said she wanted to use and they never used, we talked about it and we took things from other rooms and took things out. Anyway, I played with it with her, and I kind of, I had been dabbling and reading enough feng shui books at the time to probably be dangerous. But what happened was, I get conversation from her even now about, ever since we changed that room, it's always been a place I like to go, and you know, it had flow, and it was, you know, she just expressed from her own interaction in her home verification to me that there was something else that was happening that I wasn't even aware of. So so I know that there are things here that I want to learn, and I want to understand, and I want to discover. And I feel like I could be a really hard case for either one of you because of all the things that I've put into my my salad world. I'm just like a big concoction of many influences. And so I'm not really sure where to.
let me just stop you there.
Yeah, okay.
Because what you did for your sister-in-law is what she remembers when she's in that room. It was the feeling of love that she experienced that you were giving her, and the care that you were giving her after she experienced that loss. And you were bringing in all of that, and your intention was huge. And so the energy of that is huge. The effect of all that is huge. So yeah, you might have done some things you learned from books or what other people taught you, but it was your presence that changed, that shifted the energy in that room. That's what we're trying to do. Jackie and I are trying to get everyone to understand how valuable their own presence is. You know, you remember the story, It's a Beautiful Life, that we see every year on Christmas?
Yes, I adore
It's
that.
like
A Wonderful Life. It's a wonderful life.
Wonderful Life. There you go. It's a
Yeah, I
wonderful
have
life.
it.
That's the only time that we find out that we mean anything to anybody else is when we're gone, right? Well, we're trying to get people to understand they have a lot of meaning, for their presence has a lot of meaning right now, right here. And for you to value it as well as other people value it.
And so, yeah, does that help?
I guess it's a where do I start question that keeps coming back to my mind.
Good question. And our answer is that we have partnered together for people who are ready to be in energetic alignment with your soul and your life. And we're excited to create programs for you. And what we have for you today is our 7-week Alignment on Steroids program. It's a 7-week program where we will be meeting once a week for 7 weeks. And we're going to take you through our modules, where you will also be getting our support, our accountability, and we will nurture you so that you create the life that you've always wanted. And so each week we will go through different modules. So module 1 will be embrace your relationship to your true self. Module 2 is you and your personal space. Module 3 is declutter your space, declutter your mind. Number 4, your power meets the power of your space. Module 5, the sacred heart, creating sacred self-care. Module 6, front door and visibility, allowing opportunities into your life. And then Module 7, connect to your own inner wisdom and be kind to yourself. Each week, these are right now because of COVID, we are delivering them online and in a group setting. You'll connect with other fellow women who are also getting out of pain and overwhelm and getting into alignment. Every call will be recorded so that you have them forever. You'll learn the alignment system and be led through transformational processes in each call, leading to less and less frustration and overwhelm. And each week I will guide you in uncovering and then clearing the energy you have been carrying that is not yours so that you can bring in the energy you do want. And each week Pat will go through and talk about Feng Shui, meditation, and energy. And you'll get to know other women, support and inspire each other as everybody grows. There will be a private Alignment on Steroids Facebook group where you will receive daily support and guidance. You also get a private ground, focus, and go coaching session with me to jumpstart your healing. During this one-on-one private session, we will get to the root cause of why you are in overwhelm and why it's been so hard for you to live the life you desire with more energy, peace, and joy. And you get a private one-on-one video Feng Shui consultation with Pat for any room of your choice. This is a video Feng Shui consultation of any room of your choice that will begin the process of creating an environment which supports who you are and what you do. So when you invest in yourself today, you'll get all of this for $900. But for those who invest in the next 24 hours, you get $100 off of that. So for those of you who are ready to get started, we can get started. We do have payment plans, and we do have a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you want to try it, and if it's not a good fit, that's the end. But if things shift, then you will be in a completely new alignment in just a few months.
And also, it's not like 1 week after another, right? Don't we have 2 weeks in between?
We're actually spreading it out to about 9 weeks so that we have a couple weeks of integration, because you want to do it at the right pace. And there's a lot of questions that can come up for people. And so we're going to be there to guide everybody on this journey.
What's the commitment on our end, on my end, in terms of time and execution of whatever we go over in the modules or one-on-one?
So we do a lot of, in the sessions themselves, we move a lot of energy. So it's not like you have a lot of homework to do. You'll just be able to process what we've done in each session. And usually as time goes on, afterwards, people feel a lot lighter. And I know, Pat, if you want to answer that question yourself for your part.
I really don't like people to move too fast with what I suggest, because, as I said before, Feng Shui is a feeling thing, not a thinking thing. So when you make a change, I want you to feel it and live with it for a while. And it wouldn't be a lot of changes. And I certainly don't want anyone to feel pressure to do anything. If it's just them learning about the awareness of it, and then maybe making the change a couple of months down the road, that's totally up to them. But I have a lot to tell people about. For instance, I helped Jackie just position her desk in a different place in her office, which changed everything for her in terms of how she felt when she was conducting these Zoom calls, for instance, you know?
Yeah, that's that. And so to get back to you, Diane, you can either do nothing, or you can, I would say the most, working with me, I do suggest creating like a self-care routine for yourself, just to keep your energy high, to clear what's not working, and to step into. So that could be as little as 5 minutes, or it can be an hour a day. So there's really, the commitment really depends on you and how much you want to put into it. But when she did my room in my house, I had to move some furniture. We moved the desk. My son actually sat in my desk at my chair one day, and he's like, "Oh." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "This is powerful." I said, "What do you mean it's powerful?" He says, "There's a sense of power," and then he's like, "Even authority." And I really, like, he felt that. Like, that shocked me. I always knew that my kids are sensitive, and I think everybody's sensitive, but to have him say that, I didn't even ask him. I just said, "Go sit down in that chair, look on my computer." I think we were ordering food, and he sat there, and that was his response. So that's why I feel this work is so important, because we've learned to rush and move and hurry up and go. But when we stop that and we understand why we're doing that and we're just present, wow, how much more we could feel by doing that. And my son showed me that by just sitting in the chair, me how sensitive he really is. He felt that. So, and I said to him, I said, "What would that be like if in your room?" Of course, I was like, "Okay, let's change your room so that you feel powerful in your room." And he was like, "Mom, stop right there. We're not doing it."
Yeah, they have to be, two things. They have to be ready. Your mic is dropping out for some reason.
Mine?
Yeah, Jackie, for some reason your sound was dropping off. But
Okay.
what I wanted to emphasize with what Jackie is saying, that is that because this is energy, when you shift your own energy, either in yourself or in your space, it affects everybody, because energy is all connected. The energy of one thing affects another thing. And they often talk about the analogy of throwing a pebble into a pond and seeing the ripples. Right? As soon as you shift anything in your space, people feel it. And like Jackie's son felt it, and it gave him some excitement, it sounded like. In my case, when I took things off the wall, my husband came home and said, "What's going on?" And I said, "Well, I know I have to shift something. I don't know if this is going to work, but just give me some time with this. Give me 6 months. And if it doesn't work out, I'll pull it all up. I'll put it back up." And like the next day, he said, "Wow, this is really powerful. I feel it." So that really surprised me, because I thought, well, this is all about what I want, right? And I was ready to do what I wanted, because I had supported his job for 10 years and realized, oh, I need to find my own work that's meaningful to me. This is really his work. And so so dealing with my space was my way of getting to me, by dealing with the space first. Other people go right to themselves, and maybe they do the space later, like Jackie was doing. But once I recognized that I could create a space that was supportive of me, then I felt good when I came home. That's where I recharged my batteries, right? And I felt good about it. And before I did that, I felt anxious at home. So it's so hard to say, to give you an idea of exactly what's going to happen, because everybody is at a different state of awareness. They're at a different point in their lives. They want different things than the next person, or they may even want different things than the people in their own house want. But you learn how to work together. And when you are addressing your own needs and supporting yourself, you now are a role model for them to do the same for themselves. And that's how it works in a positive way.
Yeah, I believe that that does happen. But like I said, sometimes it backfires when I have a nice empty clear space and somebody else decides to, "Oh, let me start clearing over here too." They end up filling up my nice clean space with what they just cleared out of their old space.
Well, but if
There's lots.
if you to do that on a regular basis, they'd get the hint.
Yeah,
You know, it's a process.
it is a process. As, hopefully 2 feet forward, only 1 foot back.
You're not the only one that has that problem. But
Looked at your face.
I will say this, Diane, I've been working with Jackie for a few years on the pain issues and all that stuff. And you wonder, you start out, you wonder, how's this work? Is it going to work or whatnot? I'm more than happy to say I'm here and I'm still sticking with it. So it does work, and it takes, it's different for everybody. And it doesn't just happen. You have to work on it.
Hmm.
And when you don't, as I just discovered, it's sometimes you get overwhelmed and you kind of lose that energy, the power that you have. And it's like, whoa, I gotta get a new charge here going somehow. And it can change just like that. So it works. It really does. And now I'm going to commit right now because I just know that it works.
Hmm.
I can't get out of it because I give my word.
I'm a thinker. So I definitely have to, it's not that I don't believe in that it'll work. I'm sure. I'm definitely probably in overwhelm. Here I said definitely and probably in the same sentence. And there's just so much, there's so much going on. And I'd like to find a way to make this all work for me.
Well, and Diane, what's the cost? What's the cost of so much going on? Because I get it. I so totally get it. There is a lot happening. But what I've experienced, and Joyce and Pat, I don't know if you've experienced it, but the more we address our inner energy, the stories in our subconscious, I'm getting more done now than I ever have. And there's less overwhelm. It's not that I'm doing less. I'm actually doing more. But it's the stories that were running and keeping me stuck that kept me believing that I can't move forward.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Yep, absolutely.
Well, for me, I think what you're talking about, Jackie, is that when I get to that point where I feel stuck, I'm not going to what should I be doing anymore. I'm not going to the shoulds anymore. And that is a big difference.
Yeah, there's a lot less punishing energy.
That's what it is, yes.
Which is draining. Our inner critic, our saboteur, like they beat us up, that part of ourselves, because that's all we've known, how to treat ourselves. When you shift that energy and when you release the impact of the ancestors and the energy you're carrying for them, you feel lighter, you have more energy, the right opportunities show up, and even it shifts the energy in the people in our family. Like they don't need to react anymore, because I do feel that more people react than actually listening. And as you've been talking, is there a part of your family not listening to you and not doing what you desire?
I think that personally, I would definitely need to work on me for their sake too, if that makes sense. I'm understanding more now of that I'm worthy, and just speak about this whole concept of worthy. But part of me still is a mothering, taking care of everybody else. It doesn't make me less worthy, I don't think, to take care of all of that. But you know, how did the saying go? If mama ain't good, ain't nobody good. You know, mama ain't happy,
Mommy's not
nobody's
happy.
happy. Yeah,
That's right.
yeah, right. So, you know, I pretend I'm always happy. I told Pat I like to consider myself a practitioner of positivity, but you know, it does take its toll when I'm not really probably not addressing needs that man, this is hard to articulate. I'm not usually short on words. It is definitely a pondering time, so I have a lot to think about.
Yeah.
One of the things I'd like to say, Diane, is that some people, and I have friends, that don't really know the difference between helping others and rescuing them.
Right, I think, yeah, I was trying to answer that question for the Facebook entry password into the group yesterday, which I still can't find, by the way. I don't know what's.
Oh, I'll send it to you.
Yeah, I don't know how to do that. But asking the question about support versus rescue, I think I understand. You know, like my example was showing someone how to fish versus just feeding them all the time with fish. And, you know, giving people tools for them to do it themselves. It's just that I feel very complicated. And I don't feel like, you know, just putting it out there in public either. But, you know, my situation is fixable. And I do think I'm in overwhelm and I'm ready to do something about it. I'd like to find a way to make it happen. And, you know, finances and time are both equally concerning. So with that said, you know, I'm so glad to have met you both. I know that I manifested Pat into my realm very recently. I know that beyond a shadow of a doubt. And so I'm not going to ignore that. And the same for you, Jackie, too. This just couple of days, I suppose these are going to be recorded too, so I can replay and listen to what you said. Yeah.
Yeah.
I may need links for that because I don't know what I'm doing.
Okay. I'll send you all the links to that.
You know, but there's been a lot of meaty information to digest, and so along with, yeah, and then help me find a way to get back to both of you. I know your time's running out now.
Yeah, Diane, absolutely. You know, reach out and, you know, if it's about the money, we can talk about that. Yeah, and Denise was saying on our Facebook, she feels more integrated by releasing ancestral energies. Thank you, Jacqueline. There's more inner peace while being more productive, while giving myself more breaks. And I already weeded in front yard and swept entry to doorway.
That was homework I gave yesterday.
Yeah. She's a hard worker, that one. She's awesome.
Well, we hope everybody gets back to the point where they're enjoying their lives, and that's our goal. You know, for them to get into alignment so they're doing what they want, but they actually enjoy their lives. Because we've all been there where we were not enjoying our lives.
Yeah.
And we made the transformation. That's why we can help others do the same thing in their own way, at their own pace. But so thank you for coming today.
Thank you so much for sharing and being so open and being here. So we will connect and everybody have an awesome day.
Are you repeating some question answer or something tomorrow? Is that what you had said?
Tomorrow we could meet at 1 if anybody has more questions and answers. I'll be leaving the sales page links and more information in the comments. We also have created a one-on-one, if people want more one-on-one attention. We created actually a 9-month program. So it's all in there. And yes, we will be meeting at 1 tomorrow and Friday if people have questions.
Okay. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you both.
You're welcome. I'm really happy to see you. I'm glad
Nice to,
we hit a nerve somewhere.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
That means a good thing. You're open to growth. That's what that means.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye now.
Bye,
Bye,
Joanne.
everybody.
You guys are on later on tonight, right?
Yes, I will be on at 7. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'll see you then.
Nice to meet you, Joyce.
And you know, we'll have a conversation.
Yes.
I'm in. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hi, everybody.